Are you fascinated by the world of drug cartels and their notorious leaders? Do you ever wonder who the biggest drug smugglers still at large are today? If so, then you're in luck, because in this video we'll be exploring the world of drug trafficking and some of the most notorious drug lords still active today. From their humble beginnings to the massive bounties placed on their heads by law enforcement agencies, we'll dive into the dark world of drug cartels and the men who run them. Join us as we take a closer look at the lives of these infamous criminals and the impact they've had on the world of drug trafficking. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the dangerous and intriguing world of drug smuggling. Dario Antonio Ucega. Dario Antonio Ucega's rise to infamy is a tale of violence and crime that has left a trail of devastation across Colombia. Born in the town of Carepa in the northwestern department of Antioquia, he grew up in a family of farmers. However, as he got older, he found himself drawn to a life of crime and violence. His journey to become one of the most wanted criminals in Colombia began in the late 1990s when he joined the now-defunct United Self-Defense Forces of Colombia, or AUC, a right-wing paramilitary group known for its brutal tactics. It was during this time with the AUC that Ucega began to develop his skills as a drug trafficker. He quickly rose through the ranks of the organization, becoming one of its most trusted members. In the early 2000s, he and his brother Juan de Dios Ucega, known as Giovanni, founded a new criminal organization called the Clan Ucega. Under the leadership of the Ucega brothers, the Clan Ucega became one of the most powerful criminal organizations in Colombia. They quickly established themselves as major players in the country's drug trade, using violence and intimidation to maintain control over their territory. In 2012, Giovanni was killed in a confrontation with Colombian authorities, and Dario Antonio Ucega took over as the head of the organization, which was renamed the Clan del Golfo. The Clan del Golfo has been responsible for a wave of violence across Colombia, including bombings, assassinations, and extortion. They've also been involved in drug trafficking, money laundering, and illegal mining. The organization has a presence in at least 13 of Colombia's 32 departments, and their activities have caused widespread fear and instability. The Colombian government has been working to dismantle the Clan del Golfo, but their efforts have been met with fierce resistance. Ucega and his associates have shown a willingness to use extreme violence to maintain their grip on power, making them a formidable enemy. There is currently a $5 million reward for information leading to Ucega's capture, but so far he has managed to evade capture. The rise of criminal organizations like the Clan del Golfo highlights the ongoing challenges faced by Colombia in its efforts to combat drug trafficking and organized crime. Despite significant progress in recent years, the country still struggles with high levels of violence and instability, and criminal groups like the Clan del Golfo continue to pose a major threat to public safety. Dario Antonio Ucega's story is a cautionary tale of how violence and crime can take hold in a society and cause immense harm. His rise to power within the Clan del Golfo is a reminder of the ongoing challenges faced by Colombia in its fight against organized crime, and the importance of continued efforts to promote stability and security in the country. Rafael Quintero. Rafael Quintero's life of crime began in the 1970s when he founded the Guadalajara cartel, which quickly became one of the most powerful drug cartels in the world. The cartel's primary focus was to smuggle marijuana into the United States, which was then in high demand. Quintero and his associates became notorious for their violent acts and ruthless pursuit of power, which included bribing government officials and engaging in turf wars with rival drug gangs. In 1985, Quintero became one of the most wanted criminals in the world after he ordered the kidnapping, torture, and murder of DEA agent Enrique Kiki Camarena. This act of violence shocked the international community and led to a massive manhunt for Quintero and his accomplices. Despite the fact that drug cartels generally do not attack federal forces of the United States, Quintero and his associates felt that they were above the law and could act with impunity. Quintero was eventually captured in Costa Rica and extradited back to Mexico to stand trial for his crimes. He was convicted and sentenced to 40 years in prison, which many believe was a fitting punishment for the atrocities he had committed. However, in a shocking turn of events, Quintero was released after just 28 years in prison, allegedly due to a technicality in the case. This decision sparked outrage from law enforcement officials and the families of Quintero's victims, who felt that justice had not been served. The United States government was particularly incensed and pressured Mexico to issue a new warrant for Quintero's arrest, but he managed to evade capture and has been on the run ever since. Today, Quintero is one of the most wanted criminals in the world and has a bounty of $20 million on his head, the highest of anyone currently. He is also on the FBI's most wanted list and is considered to be extremely dangerous. Despite being in his 70s, he is still believed to be involved in the drug trade and has been linked to numerous murders and acts of violence. The case of Rafael Quintero is a stark reminder of the ongoing challenges faced by law enforcement agencies in their fight against organized crime. Despite significant progress in recent years, drug cartels continue to operate with impunity in many parts of the world, and their leaders often seem to be above the law. Quintero's release from prison was a blow to the families of his victims and a setback in the fight against drug trafficking. Rafael Quintero's life of crime and his continued evasion of justice are a stark reminder of the challenges faced by law enforcement agencies in their fight against organized crime. His case highlights the need for continued efforts to dismantle drug cartels and bring their leaders to justice, as well as the importance of international cooperation in this fight. Ismael Zambada. Ismael Zambada, also known as El Mayo, is one of the most notorious drug lords in the world. Despite being 72 years old, he still heads the Sinaloa cartel and continues to evade arrest, even though he's been wanted by Mexican authorities since 1998. Born into a poor family of farmers in Sinaloa, Mexico, Zambada entered the drug trade as a small-time smuggler, gradually working his way up the ranks to become one of the most powerful drug lords in the world. He was a key figure in the formation of the Sinaloa cartel, which emerged from the collapse of the Guadalajara cartel in the late 1980s. Over the years, Zambada has become infamous for his ruthless tactics and the extreme violence carried out by his cartel. The Sinaloa cartel has been involved in everything from drug trafficking and money laundering to kidnapping and murder. They've been responsible for countless deaths and have left a trail of destruction in their wake. The Mexican government launched a war on drugs in 2006, which led to a major escalation in violence in the country. Zambada and his cartel were able to take advantage of the situation, expanding their territory and consolidating their power. They were able to defeat their rivals, the Tijuana cartel, and gain control of key drug trafficking routes into the United States. Zambada's power and influence in the drug world were further solidified when his partner, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, was arrested and extradited to the United States. With El Chapo out of the picture, Zambada became the undisputed leader of the Sinaloa cartel. In October 2019, the Mexican government attempted to arrest one of Zambada's sons, Ovidio Guzman Lopez, who was also a high-ranking member of the Sinaloa cartel. The operation quickly turned into a chaotic gun battle, and the authorities were eventually forced to release Guzman Lopez to avoid further bloodshed. This incident demonstrated just how powerful and influential the Sinaloa cartel still is, despite the government's efforts to crack down on drug trafficking in the country. Zambada has been on the run from Mexican authorities for over 2 decades now, but he's managed to evade capture time and time again. He's known for his ability to blend in with the local population and is believed to have a vast network of supporters who help him stay hidden. He's also said to be extremely cautious and rarely leaves his hideout, making it difficult for law enforcement agencies to track him down. Despite his advanced age, Zambada is still seen as a major player in the drug trade and a significant threat to law enforcement agencies around the world. He is believed to have amassed a fortune worth billions of dollars through his illegal activities, and he continues to wield significant power and influence in the criminal underworld. Zambada's story is a cautionary tale of how poverty, corruption, and a lack of opportunity can lead to a life of crime and violence. His rise to power is a testament to the ruthless nature of the drug trade and the enormous challenges faced by law enforcement agencies in their efforts to combat it. Ismael Zambada is a notorious drug lord who's managed to evade capture for over 2 decades. He is the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, one of the most powerful and violent drug trafficking organizations in the world. Despite his age, Zambada continues to wield significant power and influence in the criminal underworld, and he remains a significant threat to law enforcement agencies around the world. His story is a stark reminder of the challenges faced by those fighting the drug trade, and the need for the Sinaloa cartel was responsible for a significant portion of drug trafficking into the United States, and El Mayo was at the helm of his vast criminal organization. The cartel's ruthless tactics and use of violence have led to countless deaths and untold misery for those caught in their crosshairs. Despite this, El Mayo has remained one step ahead of the authorities and has evaded capture for decades. His ability to avoid capture and continue operating the Sinaloa cartel has made him a legend in the criminal underworld. He's known for his intelligence, cunning, and ruthless nature, which have allowed him to survive in a dangerous and deadly world. He's also built a reputation for being fiercely loyal to his associates and is known for taking care of his own. Despite his age, El Mayo shows no signs of slowing down. He remains a major player in the world of drug trafficking and is still considered to be one of the most powerful drug lords in the world. He's outlasted many of his rivals and has proven time and again that he is a force to be reckoned with. While the authorities continue to pursue him, El Mayo remains elusive and continues to operate in the shadows. His legacy as one of the most notorious drug lords in history is secure, and he'll be remembered for his role in the drug trade and the destruction that it has caused. His story serves as a warning of the dangers of the drug trade and the impact that it can have on individuals and society as a whole. Jesus Alfredo Guzman. Jesus Alfredo Guzman, also known as Alfredillo, is the son of infamous drug lord Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, and like his father, he's been involved in the drug trade for most of his life. He's been on the radar of law enforcement agencies in Mexico and the United States for years, and his capture was seen as a major victory for the authorities. However, as we mentioned earlier, the Sinaloa cartel was quick to respond, and within hours of his arrest, they'd taken control of the streets, set fire to buildings, and taken hostages. The Mexican government was left with little choice but to release him to avoid further bloodshed. This incident highlighted the immense power of the Sinaloa cartel and its ability to challenge the authority of the state. Despite his brief time in custody, Jesus Alfredo Guzman remains a wanted man by the US government, and there is a $5 million reward for information leading to his capture. The United States has charged him with drug trafficking and money laundering, and is believed to be in hiding in the mountains of Sinaloa, Mexico. The Sinaloa cartel is known for its sophisticated network of tunnels, safe houses, and lookouts, which make it difficult for law enforcement agencies to track down its members. This has made it one of the most powerful and elusive criminal organizations in the world. The rise of the Sinaloa cartel has been linked to the decline of other cartels, such as the Tijuana and Gulf cartels, which were weakened by the Mexican government's war on drugs. The Sinaloa cartel was able to take advantage of the power vacuum created by the crackdown on its rivals and establish itself as the dominant force in the Mexican drug trade. The cartel's influence extends beyond Mexico, with a presence in over 50 countries, including the United States, Europe, and Asia. Its vast resources and sophisticated operations have allowed it to maintain a stranglehold on the drug trade and evade capture by law enforcement agencies. The activities of the Sinaloa cartel have made a devastating impact on Mexico, with thousands of people killed or disappeared as a result of the cartel's violence. Its control of the drug trade has also contributed to the opioid epidemic in the United States, with its fentanyl and heroin finding their way into American communities. The story of Jesus Alfredo Guzman and the Sinaloa cartel highlights the immense power and influence of the organized crime in Mexico and the challenges faced by law enforcement agencies in their efforts to combat it. Despite the efforts of the Mexican and US governments, the Sinaloa cartel remains a potent force in the drug trade and the ability to cause havoc and disrupt the rule of law. The capture of Jesus Alfredo Guzman would be a significant blow to the cartel, but it is unlikely to bring an end to its activities, which will continue to wreak havoc on the lives of innocent people in Mexico and beyond. Nemesio Osagura Cervantes. Nemesio Osagura Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, is one of the most ruthless and violent drug lords in the world. He is the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, which is considered one of the most powerful and dangerous drug trafficking organizations in Mexico. The CJNG has expanded rapidly over the years and is now believed to have a presence in several countries, including the United States. El Mencho's rise to power began in the 1990s when he started working on the Milenio cartel, which was one of the dominant drug trafficking organizations in Mexico at the time. He quickly rose through the ranks and became a key lieutenant in the organization. However, after his bosses were killed or arrested, he decided to strike out on his own and founded the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Under El Mencho's leadership, the CJNG has become known for its extreme violence and brutality. The cartel has been responsible for numerous acts of violence, including mass killings, beheadings, and torture. They're also known for attacking Mexican security forces and government officials. Despite being one of the most wanted men in the world, El Mencho has managed to evade capture for years. He is believed to be hiding somewhere in Mexico with a team of heavily armed and trained mercenaries protecting him. The Mexican government has launched numerous operations to try and capture him, but so far they've been unsuccessful. The United States government is also actively pursuing El Mencho and has offered a reward of $10 million for any information that can lead to his arrest. The DEA has identified him as their #1 target and has described him as a serious risk to public safety. The US government has also sanctioned several of El Mencho's family members and associates, freezing their assets and cutting them off from the international financial system. El Mencho's drug trafficking operations are believed to generate billions of dollars in profits every year. The CJNG is involved in the production and distribution of a wide range of illicit drugs, including methamphetamine, cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl. They've also been linked to money laundering, extortion, and human trafficking. The CJNG's rapid expansion and violent tactics have led to a wave of violence and instability in Mexico. The cartel's operations have caused numerous deaths and have had a devastating impact on the country's economy and social fabric. Despite the Mexican government's efforts to combat the CJNG and other drug trafficking organizations, violence and drug-related crime continue to pose a significant threat to Mexico's security and stability. El Mencho is a dangerous and powerful drug lord who has managed to evade capture for years. He's responsible for a wave of violence and instability in Mexico and is considered a serious threat to public safety by both the Mexican and US governments. Despite the efforts of law enforcement agencies, he remains at large, and his cartel continues to operate with impunity. It'll take a concerted effort by both countries to bring him to justice and put an end to the CJNG's reign of terror. Well, that's all for today's video. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and subscribing to our YouTube channel for more thought-provoking content. Don't forget to leave your comments and suggestions down below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.